when we are given a ECG strip, the first thing that we should know is we have to check the lead 2. Any ECG strip, we have to check the lead 2, that is the long lead usually given below, and we have to check for two things. Firstly, we have to check for the rate. The rate can be two types. It can be a ventricular rate or it can be an atrial rate. Atrial rate. By ventricular rate, we mean that the distance between two RR peaks. Okay, a number of small squares. Now for that, let's say the distance comes as 50 small squares. So the heart rate will become 1500 by 50 per minute, means 30 per minute. It's just an example. Now we have to check the atrial rate. We have to check the atrial rate. That means we have to check the number of small squares between two P waves. So usually in a normal ECG, both the atrial rate and the ventricular rate will be equal. Okay, so as there is 30, the atrial rate will be 30. A wild example, I know, but it will be equal. So the ventricular rate is equal to atrial rate, which is equal to the heart rate. Now, what can happen is that they might not be equal. Okay, so then we have to calculate differently. So we will discuss it in the module of heart rate only. Now, next to rate, we have to check for the rhythm. The rhythm can be sinus, the rhythm can be junctional, the rhythm can be idioventricular, which will be also discussed in a different module. Now this module that I am talking about today will be of the P wave, which is the next thing that we have to check. The P wave. The P wave is usually checked in two leads, lead 2 and lead V1. So in lead 2, which is the most common lead that we check, we will see a single peak of P wave of the normal being less than 2.5 millimeter in width and the height being less than 2.5 millimeter also. Okay. Now the height is determined by the right atrium and the width is determined by the left atrium, because the right atria is responsible for creating the acinodal spike. So it will have to generate the electrical rhythm. Whereas after the electrical rhythm is generated, it travels to the left atria. So the left atria is denoted by the time taken. So it denotes the width. Also, as the right atria comes directly in line with the lead 2. This is the right atria, this is the left atria. The right atria comes directly in line with the lead 2 due to the depolarization. Now coming to lead V1, that is the second lead for which we check the P wave. In lead V1, the characteristic P wave is biphasic, like this. So the upward peak is due to right atrium and the downward peak is due to left atrium. Why so? Because if we see the placement of the chest lead, that is the V1, we will understand it. This is right atrium, this is left atrium, and V1 is here. So the impulse from the right atria goes towards V1, so it will have a positive slope, whereas the impulse from the left atria goes away from V1, so it will have a negative slope. That is the reason why in V1 the P wave is biphasic. Now these are the normal things that we can see in an ECG, in a normal ECG. The P wave that is normal in an ECG, the lead 2 is like this and the lead V1 is biphasic. Now what are the abnormalities that we can see in P wave? The P wave can be absent. The causes being: 1. Junctional rhythm. In junctional rhythm, as the junctional rhythm is caused by the AV node, atria and ventricle depolarize simultaneously. So if you see, this is the QRS for ventricular depolarization. In the same time of the QRS, there will also be a P in lead 2. And now QRS is a bigger event. So it will mask smaller event P wave, and we will see only QRSs in the lead. The second cause being arrhythmias. Such as atrial fibrillation and paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. Here, there is asynchronized atrial depolarization. So the P wave loses its character. The third is dyselectrolytemia, which inhibits atrial depolarization. So, dyselectrolytemia can be increased potassium. We can have a clinical history, and we have to then see the ECG of the patient. So if there is a history of, let's say the history can be of two types basically for a P interval related, P wave related disease, sorry. So if we have a history of tricuspid stenosis or tricuspid regurgitation or right ventricular failure, okay, or we could have a history of COPD or we can have a history of pulmonary hypertension. All this will have a direct effect on, ultimately the COPD will have a direct effect on right atrial enlargement, and the pulmonary hypertension will lead to a increased pressure and definitely a right ventricular enlargement and then a right atrial enlargement. So these are the things we can see. Ultimately it will lead to a right atrial enlargement. So what can we do about that? So as we have to see, as this is a right atrial enlargement, we look at the, as we have said before, we look at the atrias in the lead 2 and lead V1 P waves. So we will see about that. And in lead 2, what we will see? We will see this is the normal lead 2 and it has got two components. The first part is due to right atrium and the second part is due to left atrium, because the first part, the right atria depolarizes fast due to the presence of the SN node, and the second part of left atria is due to traveling, and it is due to the width. So if there is a right atrial enlargement, what will happen? The first part will get enlarged and the second part will remain normal. This will be less than 2.5 centimeter and this will be more than 2.5 centimeter. And the width, which is dependent only on the left atria, will be less than 2.5 centimeter. This is the thing for right atrial enlargement in lead 2. We call this finding as P pulmonale, or if it's high, very high values, around 5 centimeter, more than equal to 5 centimeters, we call it as Himalayan P waves. Now what we will see in V1 lead. V1 lead, in normally we know that it is biphasic. It has a positive component of right atrium and a negative component of left atrium. Okay, so in right atrial enlargement, we will see the positive component to be increased, whereas the negative component will be like same as before, less than 2.5 centimeter. This will be more than 2.5 centimeter. As simple as that. And we will have to calculate the area of the positive component. Matlab, we will have to see this area. Component. So area is equal to height into width. If it's more than 0.06 millimeter per second, we call it a right atrial enlargement. Now come to the second clinical case scenario, where there is a left atrial enlargement, LAE. Where can we find it? If you are given a history such as of mitral stenosis or mitral regurgitation or left ventricular failure, or a history of systemic hypertension. All that will lead to a left ventricular enlargement and ultimately to a left atrial enlargement. So what we will see on lead 2? The normal being this. The first part is right atrium, the second part is left atrium. So in left atrial enlargement, we will get a picture like this. Here, if you correctly focus it, the width will be more than 2.5 centimeter, and this height will be around 2.5 centimeter. But in peaked nature, as the width is dependent by left atrium and the height is dependent by right atrium. So we call this twin peak sign. That is, the peaks become like this, the twin peak sign. And this is also known as P mitral. That was P pulmonale. This is P mitral. Now what we will see on lead V1. Lead V1 is biphasic normally, 2.5, less than 2.5, less than 2.5. Now the second part is due to, this part is due to left atrium. So we have to calculate the area of the negative component. That is depth into width, millimeter seconds. And if it's more than 0.04 millimeter seconds, we consider it as left atrial enlargement. This is also known as Morris index positive. Here it was 0.06 millimeter per second, and here it is 0.04 millimeter per second. You have to remember that. As I've said before, this is the normal P wave in lead 2. This is normal P wave biphasic one in lead V1. This is right atrial enlargement or P pulmonale. Here in V1 we see a right atrial peaking. It will have to be more than 0.0. This area have to be more than 0.06 millimeter seconds. This is P mitral. This area has to be more than 0.04 millimeter seconds, and this is biatriolar elevation or enlargement. So if we now come to the diagnosis of some common cases. Now in this clinical case scenario of ECG, what can we see? As I've said, first we have to go for lead 2. We have to check for the rate, then the rhythm, then we should go for the P wave. Now as no long lead 2 is given here, we can't check the rate and the rhythm. So we just have to go for the P wave here. And if we see, the P wave is like this. So this is P mitral. This is P mitral. Now we have to go for check the lead V1. So lead V1, the negative component is more. Negative component is more. So we have to check for the area here of this area, negative component area. Let me highlight it. This area. negative component area. If it's more than 0.04 millimeter second, we consider it as Morris index positive. So it's more than 0.04 millimeter second here, and it's Morris index positive. So we can come to our diagnosis of left atrial enlargement in this case. By checking only two leads, V1 and 2. Rest of the leads are not required here. So left atrial enlargement, we can think of, according to clinical scenario, we can think of the differentials as I've said before, MS, MR, left ventricular failure, or a systemic hypertension. We can think of these causes. Now coming to the next one. Here we can see only lead V1, and in lead V1 we can see a very downfall of, let's say I'm marking with a very deep negative component, which is definitely more than 0.04 millimeter second. So it's Morris index positive. So it's again a case of left atrial enlargement, and the reasons can be again mitral stenosis, mitral regurgitation, left ventricular failure, systemic hypertension. We have to see for the additional clinical scenario given. By clinical scenario, we mean about the signs and symptoms of the patient. Now coming to different ECG, we have to check for firstly we have to check, look for lead 2, which is the long lead 2. Then we have to check for rate, then rhythm, then we have to check for the P wave. So here this is the long lead 2 and this is the short lead 2. On the long lead we check for the rate and rhythm. So first we will have to check the rate. So first we will check the ventricular rate and then the atrial rate. The ventricular rate is approximately 4 big boxes. So 5 3 is 50, 15 and 3 18, 1500 by 18. While the atrial rate is around this one, just do this. It's also around 18 boxes, small boxes, 1500 by 18. So it's definitely a sinus rhythm. So rate done, rhythm done. Basically what I was doing was that I was calculating this distance and I was calculating this distance. That's the main thing I was doing. So the peculiar thing you will see here is that the P wave is very larger compared to the QRS complex. That is, it has a strong positive component in every of them. Okay. So as there is a strong positive component, like this, the P wave has become like this. So this is the Himalayan P wave. So again coming to lead 2, this one, this is the Himalayan P wave. As you can see, this goes around 5 millimeters. So this is the Himalayan P wave, or you can also say it's a P pulmonale.